All right, I'm going to show you a couple of things about ongoing performance management. Um, Sort of how to do a few things in the system. I've already done one tutorial for adding or removing somebody from a program. I'm going to show you a few things about the actual review itself, just so you kind of know what's happening. So I'm going to use myself as an example and kind of go and show you a few things. One of the things you'll learn is that you get to be the crash test dummy for all of the different testing programs, things like that. So here's me. One thing that you really should know first off is that if someone does not have a supervisor, they are not going to have a review. The thing you should also know is that when you change a supervisor in the system, not necessarily changing it through here, which is in the user profile, but if you change it in the position description, sometimes it will reopen random plans for older plans that are closed. People admin knows about it. They haven't fixed it. I don't even know. Not one of the things I'm the most sad about leaving is that particular frustrating piece. I'll show you how to deal with those. But just know that if someone doesn't have a supervisor, they are not going to be able to have a review, because that's how the review basically gets put into the system. A couple other things to try if you can't find someone's review, in addition to making sure that they have a supervisor. Sometimes you have to remove the supervisor and then add it back. Sometimes you'll have it where it's attached to the wrong supervisor. You can try removing the new supervisor, even if it's assigned correctly, and reassigning it to their current supervisor. If all else fails, call Michelle, because she does a lot of this. She usually does all the changing of supervisors for me anyway, because I don't want to mess it up. So I generally just let her do that. Those are a couple of things to try, just troubleshooting wise. The other thing would be to check and make sure that they have a position type assigned, and most people do now at this point. But if they don't have a position type here, we need to either get with Michelle or look them up in Banner, or however you're kind of going to manage that on a day-to-day basis. This is what pulls people into the program. The program is the review for the year. So if they don't have a position type, it doesn't know how to pull them in. When I do a tutorial on creating a program, I will show you that. And then the other thing that you will want to look at is their employment anniversary date. There are some weird things with that. When someone has prior state service, their adjusted service date will adjust back retroactively to when they to where their service started, essentially, time-wise, not necessarily date-wise. So I actually came to Appalachian September 1st, 2014, but I started working for the court system May 25th, 2007. I didn't have a break in service between when I left the court system and came here, so I don't have any adjustment. But let's say I did. Let's say I had like a month in between there that I did not work for the state. That would have been adjusted back to June 25th, 2007. So it really just goes back, and that anniversary date is just for the purposes of figuring out when they're going to be eligible for retirement. And that is, that's not that big of a deal with this, but it does pose a few issues that I'll sort of make sure I address with Michelle, but I'll just mention here. One, we can get rid of the probationary review process. I might try to do that before I leave. It's not a requirement anymore. It's just a requirement that they have feedback. Where that comes into play with anniversary date is, let's just say I started brand new a month ago. I would not need to be having a review for the 2020-2021 year, because there is a 6-month window during which employees don't have a review, but it's going to pull me in automatically based on that anniversary date. So that's where you will see it come in sometimes, is usually with probationary reviews, but also with the yearly review. So if you get somebody that says, and you're not necessarily going to know this unless you and Cindy McGuire kind of work out a way to track people who have prior state service, if that's something that you want to get into. then you might need to do that. But generally what people are going to do is they're going to come to you and be like, hey, I don't think I should get a review. And in that case, you just sort of trace that back and ask them one of those questions of, when did you start in your position here? Do you have prior state service? And you can kind of troubleshoot it that way. But that's important because, again, that pulls people into programs or excludes them from it. Same here, as well as having a supervisor. Those are the things that will often control how somebody gets put into the system. And again, if you need to edit this, you just click edit. Sometimes you need to click remove completely so that they don't have a supervisor, and then put them back in. I think that's all I want to tell you in terms of the user account.